just sort of weird, being honored for the worst day of your life.
Can't begin to imagine what you went through personally. You know things most of the rest of us will never know. That's got to weigh heavy on a young man's shoulders. Your story, Billy, no longer belongs to you.
The film takes place over one day, and it's following a group of boys, a group of soldiers who have been brought back to America for a victory parade, a tour. And we're with Billy, who's been caught on camera in Iraq in this video footage which has gone viral back home, and he's being perceived as this hero, this war hero. And we follow him throughout the course of the day as he's kind of figuring out who he is in the middle of all this madness at this big halftime show, and people are trying to pull him different ways and tug him different ways and tell him who he is and what he should be doing and where he should be going. And within all that kind of that noise, it's a pretty basic, at its heart, a coming-of-age story about a boy just deciding who he is and where he belongs and where he wants to go.
Billy Lynn, when I read the novel, I noticed there's a halftime show, and then there is the real battle, which they celebrate. What the halftime show is for, and I thought, as a filmmaker, if I can put the two next to each other, I have a movie. So one is what I celebrate, what in the public's projection. The other is what really happened. It's quite existential, and plus, I found that if you can portray a halftime show from inside out, from the soldiers to the person being celebrated, from their perspective, and if you bring the soldiers, battling soldiers' sensation, which is hypered, total reality, truthful, nerve-wracking, high sensation into that flashy show and very loud and very over-the-top Dallas style, I think is both funny and horrific.
I thought about what came before, and I had Ben's book to kind of dive back into, which was an amazing mine to have. But it was something that took getting used to, the idea of, I mean, the way that it's been cut together. We do jump around and we flash back to Billy's home and we flash back to what actually happened in Iraq. But when we were actually filming it, I was used to just doing theatre before and having the luxury of starting a story at the beginning and going over a few hours and ending at the end. And suddenly going onto a film set for the first time, I was, it's so much more fragmented and broken up, and you're shooting the end of the film at the beginning and the beginning of the film at the end, and the scenes are shorter, and the big halftime show was shot in the second week, and the big battle was shot right at the end. And so it was just, the whole thing was a new way of working and a new way of figuring out how to track your character and where you are in Billy's mind and in the story.
I think the material itself required the old-fashioned three-unity. It happened in one day, and the boy has to make a decision. And also because such a process is a more personal process. Everything we stage for the boy is his perspective. What he make of it, that's the movie. And what's his it's a contemplative movie, stream of consciousness, flashback, what he see, what he make of it. And all that he's putting into a process of consideration. So it's a thought process kind of movie instead of a narrative arc or a linear kind of movie.
There are a ton of ways you could get shipped home, or at least out of active duty.
I made a commitment.
To what? We both know exactly why you signed up.
Yeah, well, I'm going back, Kat.
The last solid thing we have left in this family. Come on, look at us. What do you say?
I'm going back, Kat.
There was an essence of him that I thought I could hold on to and that I understood, but I'm not an all-American boy. I'm not from Texas. I'm not a soldier. I've never been to war. I've never gone through what he's gone through. And so there's a lot of him and a lot of what he's going through that's a million miles from me as Joe. But at the same time, there were bits of him which I thought I could relate to, and bits of him or bits of myself that I thought I could use. And also the fact that Billy is thrown into this situation, which he's he's thrown into very deep water and into something he's not used to, with all the attention suddenly on him and cameras in his face and fireworks going off and whatever. And I was taken from my life as I knew it in London and taken to a country I'd never been to before, and put on set with cameras in my face and people asking me questions, and a level of responsibility which I wasn't used to. And so whilst that was very far from Billy's own experience, there were bits that I could draw on about what I was going through and try and shape them and mold them and use them to then to fit Billy as much as they could. And then you just, you know, you stretch things and you use your imagination and you act.
Joe came in pretty late in the process. I think a minute into our first reading, and that was it for me. But since he'd never done anything, the studio didn't have confidence. I was like, oh, what do you think? So we still test him for yet another week. We keep testing him. But I was very sure it's him. He's one of those rare talents who still have that innocent look. It's totally fresh. He is Billy Lynn. More important than his acting ability, which I have no doubt is top-notch talent, but what the movie's like, because he is the movie. You're making the movie on that image. It's not so much carrying, but, you know, he is the movie.
What? I'm going down.
What we call 3D is dimensionalized filmmaking. It gives you an illusion of real dimension instead of the artifice of create depth, shadow, you know, what have you, which is essential art of cinema for 100 years. When I had a chance to do that in my last movie, Life of Pi, I began to get into that, and I found what we had is not sufficient. We haven't even scratched the surface. It's actually a new format of filmmaking.
I quite liked the intensity of it, of having this, because I knew it was so close, and I knew how much it was going to pick up. It almost draws more out of you, I felt. It took some getting used to because of the size of the cameras. Often my sight lines to other actors were completely obscured, and you'd be looking at bits of tape around a matte box, and if Diane's walking over there or Catherine's walking over there, I wouldn't be seeing them. I'd be moving from a piece of red tape to a piece of yellow tape, and within that 2-centimeter crossover, I'd have to have a whole new thought.
I think the film language adjusts a little bit, the intensity of work in the movie, the performance, they all adjusted, and the lighting was adjusted to a more realistic look. I think that endeavor is still translating into the regular movie format. It's just one newer format of cinematic experience that I had a taste of it. I got very excited. I think it is a legitimate film format. I think it's new. It's worth exploring into.
For all the talk about the technology kind of can't just be a factor in itself. It's married to the content if people think about it enough and don't just kind of think, oh, this looks new, this looks strange. It's married to the content and to what Ang is saying about what's real and what's fake in American culture and American society. And at the same time, within all of that, I think what he has and what he's done and what he does in all of his, or lots of his films, is a very human story about a 19-year-old pretty normal boy trying to find his way within all of that. And so it has these different layers of this bigger political commentary or debate which it opens up, but at the heart of it, the essence of it, is just a coming-of-age story. And I think that's a pretty universal thing to latch onto.